Hi, welcome to Malifaux Mondays from the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and in our second video for this series, I am going to be giving you guys a quick update on where we are with our journey into the world beyond the breach. So, that mostly consists of the goodies that we've picked up in the past few weeks and now have to build. It's always the downside. You can buy all the minis in the world, but someone's got to build them and paint them. More about that in a minute. But let's start with what we've picked up. This video is kind of, if you're also thinking about jumping into the world of Malifaux, hopefully this will help you have some insight into the kind of stuff that you're going to need. I'm going to talk about the stuff that we don't yet have, as well as the stuff that we do have. So we're not 100% ready to go yet, but we're, aside from some serious miniature building, we're pretty much ready to start. But I'm going to talk about where we are ready and where we're not ready in a minute. Let's start with the fun stuff. The first thing you need when you start any new system is obviously the rules. And if you are a fan of a beautiful rulebook, Malifaux will not disappoint. The artwork and lore inside of this book is fantastic. Possibly one of the best that I've had the pleasure of getting stuck into, to be honest with you. From the detail and the structure and the quality of the lore, which comprises the first 30 odd pages of the book. This is all history and background to the universe, through to the rules and the way it all structures together. The book is clear and concise and just beautiful. I mean, look at this artwork. It's just great. Everywhere you go, it's just stunning. So I'm a big fan of it. We're now in the third edition, as you see at the bottom here. And yeah, I've started chewing through this book already. I started with the lore, had to stop myself, remind myself that I need to read the rules as well. So kind of got halfway through the lore and then had a bit of a break and started reading some rules. Malifaux is one of those systems that is pretty straightforward when you get your head around how things work. It's not the most complicated system in the world, and with the cards that you get with each miniature, which we'll be running through in a minute, your rules are always at the tip of your fingers. So when you've got the general ebb and flow going, it's pretty straightforward, but there is a deceptive amount of depth behind it, so that each encounter, don't have a battle with Malifaux, it's an encounter. Each encounter is different and unique and has a great feel. Another thing that I love about this system, it's not just the rulebook, it is the faction books. And here is my one for 10 Thunders. If you saw last week's video, Lilith is going for Neverborn and her faction book is on the way. That wasn't deliberate. There's been an issue with our supplier, so I wasn't mean to her. Don't start in the comments. But yeah, so this faction book is equally amazing. Again, we have lots and lots of lore and story to play with, fantastic artwork. I mean, it's just great. But then, in addition to that, we also have, somewhere past all the fluff, all of our factions, all the stat cards, every single one, their story as well, so you get to know your master as well as seeing how they actually play. If you fall in love with a faction but you're not sure where you want to go in the form of which master you want to take, so which leader you want for your army, these books are probably the best way to start because you get to see everything that's in there pretty much. So there's Mizaki. Gotta love me some Mizaki. She is technically my first, but not. I'm going to cover that one in a minute too. She is my first master for my 10 Thunders cruise. You've got all the information you need in here, and also at the back you have all of the, where are you? All of the upgrade cards which are available. With Malifaux, when you're building a crew, you pick up both the miniatures that are in there, and then you can add upgrades to them as you see fit. So this book contains all of it for a specific faction, including guys that straddle two factions. They're all in here as well. So it's just a complete primer for everything that you need. And to be honest, more systems should do this. I know, yeah, there's the argument that 40k does it. There's a slightly longer turnaround between this and 40k. This book's going to be gold for a little bit longer than your average 40k codex. It's not a criticism, it's an observation. Price-wise, they're not unreasonable either. I mean, these are $25. The rulebook is 25. Oh, this is 20. The rulebook is 20. The faction book is 25. You can get the rules for free as well from their website. It doesn't contain the fluff, but it gives you all the rules. So if you want to look at the game before you dive into it, that's a great place to do it online. Then you can pick up the book for not too much. And then when you decide on your faction, you can pick up the entire list of everything that's in there for $25. I think about 23, 24 euros in European money. So in my opinion, those are great value. I am already well aware of the fact that I'm probably going to own every faction book. I've made space on the shelf, metaphorically speaking. I know it's going to happen. Lilith knows it's going to happen. Yeah, so that's the thing. So yeah, we have the Netherborn one on the way. Of course, the next thing you need, if you're going to play Malifaux, is Fate decks. And I am a sucker for pretty accessories for a game. Now, for those unfamiliar with Malifaux, Malifaux uses cards, not dice, for resolving actions in a turn. These can be used as standard 25 card decks. That is achievable, you can do that, but they ain't as pretty as these. It doesn't matter how good your card deck is, it just ain't that nice. These Fate decks are stunning. They're also really useful in the game because when you are completing actions, some of them will have triggers based on a specific suit. So they can be rams, for example, or crows. I think it's crows. I get so slaughtered if that's wrong. Masks as well. You also use cards to figure out the damage that you do when you hit an adversary. And these cards conveniently have 1 pip marked for where it's going to be low damage, and then they have 2 pips marked where it's going to be moderate damage, and then they have 3 pips where it's going to be severe. So these are really great game aid, and they're stunning as well. They're not a ridiculous amount of money. Let's just get the glare off that a little bit. There we go. They're not a ridiculous amount of money in my opinion, so yeah, they're lovely. And being faction specific, I'm a sucker for it. It had to happen. I'm not going to show off Lilith. You're going to see those in game in the coming weeks, hopefully. Stay tuned for that. So that is the core of our books and our accessories. This is kind of where we hit the first thing that's missing from this set. There are lots of markers that you need in the form of scheme markers and I think shadow markers they're called for Mizaki, and various other ones for the Neverborn. We don't have those yet. We're probably going to print some off to start off with and then decide how many and what specific ones we need. You also have status markers that you're going to need, and you're also going to need soulstone markers. We don't have those yet. So the little tokens, we're trying to decide which ones we want, and for the first few games we're probably going to run with just basic what we've got in the box. So get ready for some infinity tokens around the board. It's going to happen. Tell us later in the comments how much you hate it, and then tell us which ones are the single best markers that we should get, and we will listen and spend way too much money, and it'll be your fault, which I'm good with. So those are all the accessories that you're pretty much going to need for Mali. Then we move on to the fun stuff. We start with our 2 core boxes. So for me, we have Mizaki, and for Lilith, we have the Titania core box. These are, yeah, everything you need to get started, really. We have a master, a totem, we have a henchman, and then you have 3 minions to run with. Seems to be the format with all Malifaux boxes, which is just awesome. Giving you, I assume, fairly well balanced crews to go up against each other from day one, which is what we like. These boxes are already partly in construction, so I won't be showing you the sprues, but you'll also find in each box that you get a full set of cards, which are the same as the stat cards that you have in the faction books, but obviously it's a lot more convenient, or can be a lot more convenient, to use these cards rather than the book when you're playing. Just to have these laying out in front of you. If you run 3 Turakage, for example, you can track their health stats down the bottom, any upgrade cards they've got, and status cards, status conditions you can track on their individual cards rather than trying to have to remember it or write it down or whatever, which is not necessarily that convenient. So these are the 2 core boxes that we're starting with. I know that there are starter boxes out there, but these were the specific factions which called to us, so had to be done. If you saw our first video, you'll also know that some slight errors were made, but there are no regrets, which is why I also have a second core box for Asami. She's also 10 Thunders, so I have another 10 Thunders faction that I'm starting. These guys are very different from Mizaki, who is pretty much a ninja assassin, whereas what you're looking at here is summoning Oni or demons from somewhere unpleasant to do unpleasant things to our opponents. So I'll be starting with Mizaki and probably all too quickly also with Asami and putting them on the table for you guys to see. And because, you know, impulse control is a low thing, I've also got the Realm Beyond, which gives me the alternate Asami. So she has slightly different skills and abilities and a much different miniature, which is very cool. Lady Yume, who goes in there too, and it's just, I don't know, can we get this in there? Let's have a look. It's not unwrapped yet. So, you know, a multi-armed Spider Lady of Doom. And then we have the alt Dreamer, for Neverborn, so that will be going Lilith's way. This was a no-brainer. I mean, I basically bought it for Lilith. I'm telling myself that. I probably mean it to an extent. Yeah, go with me. So not only do we have a second core box, we have an alt for the master in that core box, and then I had to get this box too. I've yet to come up with a reason why I had to, but I did have to, so that's the thing. The Minoko Rei and Katashiro, gotta love that. I never have a problem saying that word until now. The Katashiro and Minoko Rei miniatures to me are absolutely epic, and I love the fluff around them. I love everything about them. They fit beautifully in Asami's crews, and also Minoko, I think, goes into Mizaki as well. So that box kind of straddles everything. Yeah, we have the Wanyudo. We got this dude, a Burning Wheel of Doom, and yes, he's cool, but it's these that just absolutely do it for me. Oni, I think, are fantastic, and the Minoko Rei is just, love it. So that is the small start that we have, and before you think that Lilith has got off rough here with just one new master, there's also a Killjoy in the other room that is sat there, built and ready to wreak havoc with my poor innocent crews. So that is the miniatures that we have for the time being. These are all going to get built. It's worth saying as well that when these miniatures are built, I plan to paint my 10 Thunders with Army Painter Speed Paint, giving them a zenithal highlight and then running through with that. It's not a painting method I've used before, and so I thought, new system, there's no legacy and history of different miniatures in there to cross-compare against. It'll be a great time to give that a try, and so we shall. So that will be an adventure. I won't actually be doing a great deal of videos on the painting process, just purely down to that not really being what we're doing on the channel at this point. We may do it at some point, but not at this point. So you can look forward to some work in progress shots probably over on our Instagram or potentially on later videos, but we shall see. So that's all the miniatures, that's all the accessories. There's only one other thing you need if you are going to have any type of war game, and that's a table. So let's talk about what we're doing with that next. One thing I love about Mali is the fact that it is played on a 3 foot by 3 foot table, which means that I can set up a mat like this guy and play without needing to set up large boards or anything like that, which is absolutely fantastic and a godsend as far as I'm concerned. This particular mat is from supporter of the channel, Urban Mats. They do these fantastic mouse mat type material, single and double-sided mats. It's awesome. This is a cobblestone effect one, and it's just brilliant. I think it's great. Ready to roll, nicely detailed. There'll be a more detailed review on this one later. But you can't just have a mat, you've got to have a little bit more than that. We have decided to go for something a little bit different. We are opting for the Battle Systems cardboard terrain rather than the wealth of other options which are out there. Let's put this a little bit more to the front. I've not worked with Battle Systems before, to be honest with you, and I mean, you can see they're very pretty. This is the Blacksmith Forge and part of the graveyard, because Neverborn, you need some graveyard and blacksmiths. Heck yeah. I am still in the process of building these. We have the full fantasy village set coming as well. So the aim with this was to get a relatively easy to store, relatively easy to build, pre-painted set of terrain that we'd have a wealth of options for, because I mean, this set here has got 4 buildings, 5, 6 buildings, as well as a whole set of accessories to go with it. That will let us play varied, different games for you, rather than just, you know, having one tree and all that kind of stuff in the middle of the board all the time. And speaking of trees, we've decided to add some of those into the mix as well. We have a couple of these knock sets, which give us a range of different heights and styles to go in as well. Ooh, okay. So yeah, we're gonna have pretty varied sets of terrain to play on, relatively simply, relatively easily, and also pretty easy to store. These being cardboard, and these are pretty light as well. They can be compressed down and stored fairly simply. I will do a full review on the Battle Systems terrain at a later point, and also the Urban Mats sets as well. We have some mats for these for Flames of War and for Star Wars Legion, and some terrain for Star Wars Legion as well, so there will be a full review on these coming up later. But for now, one thing that I will say that I love about them is they do come with a storage bag, which is just absolutely fantastic. A genius move on their part, in my opinion. Yeah, simple and easy. There we go, so that's the terrain, those are the miniatures, those are the accessories we've got so far. Watch this space for more coming soon. Thanks a lot. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing and hitting the bell to keep up to date with the new Malifaux Monday stuff as it comes out. Please feel free to follow our social medias that are out there, and we shall see you again soon. Thanks for watching.